Hello there everyone, today's video we're going to take a look at some predictions for the autumn statement. The new Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, about to deliver his first budget, his first autumn statement in a few days' time. So what are the tax predictions? What do we think can happen? Well, as is traditional with these, a lot of this stuff gets leaked in advance. In fact, I've actually heard that what they do is they leak various things, they gauge public reactions to the leaks, and in some cases they then pull various things based on public opinion. Now, I think in the current circumstance, I find that hard to believe based on the fact we know it's going to be tough medicine, but I certainly knew about the leaks before, but it was interesting. I never come across that point about how some of them, they test the waters. Anyway, what do we think is going to happen? Let's just dive straight in. So the first one is windfall tax. Oil and gas companies making a shed load at the minute, so it makes sense that the government wants a piece of the action. Windfall tax on the profits, I think it's going to go from 25% to 35%, so a third of the monies that they make will be taxed on this windfall tax. Obviously doesn't affect many people other than those who are in the actual oil and gas sector. You or I, we won't be impacted by that. So what's next? Tax-free allowance. Oh no, this is where we will be impacted. Tax-free allowance on share dividends. So at the moment, everyone gets the first £2,000 tax-free of share income. Now remember when George Osborne brought this in about 10 years ago, it used to be £5,000. You used to get the first £5,000 tax-free. That was then deemed to be too generous. They pulled it back. They said, look, £2,000 tax-free, and then you start paying dividend rates of tax. Rumour is that's going to be pulled. There'll be no tax-free allowance on dividends. This is both dividends if you have your own business, if you're an SME owner, an owner-managed business, and if you're receiving just regular investment income. Will they take it off both, or just those who have their own company? I don't know. Let's see what happens. What else are the predictions? Well, the 45p. That's another one that's been leaked, and I think it's safe to say this is going to happen. That 45p tax rate will bite once you start earning over 125,000. Currently it's 150 grand. So it's going to go down and affect those who earn over 125,000. Now, that's going to bring another 250,000 people into 45p tax. I mean, my goodness, just a few weeks ago, Kwasi Kwarteng talked about abolishing the 45p. This is not simply reinstating it. This is making it worse and making more people having to pay 45p tax. Another 250,000. They reckon this will raise about 1.3 billion pounds. So remember, in terms of the tax rates that you are paying, 60% on that marginal band between earnings of 100 and 125, because the personal allowance gets clawed back. So then what happened was you then drop back to 40% and then go to 45. Now you'll go straight to 45. So the marginal rate, 60%, earnings between 100 and 125 grand, and then the 45% will kick in. So what's next? Fiscal drag. Fiscal drag means basically the Tories saying, look, we're not going to increase headline rates of income tax, i.e. putting up tax by percentages, but we'll freeze the point at which those incremental hikes kick in, and as wage inflation takes off, more and more people will be dragged into either being taxpayers for the first time or higher rate taxpayers for the first time, known as fiscal drag. And this is a biggie. They reckon this will bring in an extra 50 plus billion to the Treasury's coffers by 2028. So just freezing the point at which you pay higher rate tax, which is just over 50 grand, and a point at which the personal allowance is just over 12,500. If those don't move with inflation, but wages do, then millions more people will be dragged into those bands. It'll affect 3 million people. 3 million people will either be taxpayers for the first time or higher rate taxpayers for the first time. So that's quite a big deal. What else are we predicting? IHT freeze, freezing on inheritance tax thresholds. They reckon it's going to bring in an extra 12 billion by 27, 28 tax year. So again, it's a similar thing to the income tax fiscal drag, just freezing the thresholds. Pensions, again, another one. The lifetime allowance. How much can you save in a pension pot that's tax-free before, once you start taking it out, if there's too much in there, you get clobbered for extra tax? Well, at the minute, it's just over $1 million, and it is pegged to inflation. But by freezing that for 5 years so that it doesn't rise with inflation, it'll bring in more money. It'll bring in more money for the government. So look out for pensions, freezing of the lifetime allowance. What about pension tax relief on an income tax? Now, there's been talk about this for many years, and every time that we've had a budget, it's been saved. But at the minute, I think it's one of the favourites to be possibly curtailed. This is where you make individual pension contributions and you get up to 45% relief, depending if you're a 45% taxpayer or a 40% taxpayer. And it benefits those who earn the most. So you get the most relief if you're a high rate taxpayer or an additional rate taxpayer. So rumour mill suggests that they will curtail the tax relief to the basic rate of tax, so just 20% relief. Of course, if you're making your pension contributions from a company, there should be no change because you'll just get the corporate tax relief on that. Although, of course, when the corporation tax rates go up to 25%, you will be getting beneficially more relief than as an individual if they drop the individual rates, but we'll see what they do with both corporate and individual pensions. But that's one of the favourites to be played around with in the next few days. And income tax restriction, that's what I've just mentioned. So just an overview there of a few things that we think as commentators and tax advisors, we've heard the word on the street is that this will come in. I think one or two of these we almost know with certainty it's going to happen. Others we're not so sure, but watch this space. The Chancellor's autumn statement is later on this week, and I will, as always, give you a hot off the press video telling you exactly what is announced. So what do you think is going to happen? Let me know in the comments below, and if you like this video, as always, please do subscribe, and I'll see you soon.